Okay, so it's 5:55 on the 7th, so Saturday, and man, I'm trying not to be like, oh, uh, Max's last weekend, but but definitely seems to be progressing, getting worse and worse, and Bernice had said, try these things, and he has, we've done horse pace a few rounds periodically over the last since I got him because of the vomiting issue, and I thought he must have parasites or anxiety because it seemed the most likely. And so I did the rounds of that. But the past year, let me think, because I started that, I don't remember what month it was, but now I've already been here almost 6 months. So for like a year, he's been on the CHDX, which I've talked about, what the initials of that is for. And that's a big compound that heals everything. That's what the word on the street is. And so I had been putting that in their water and that's what you're supposed to do, put a few drops in your water. And so I had been putting that in their water for a year. And it's supposed to cure everything, even Ebola. And so it's supposed to cure, And so he's been on that for a year, which Archie is right here. Like, they're all so needy right now. It's crazy. And, but yesterday he started choking, and I was like, oh my God, I changed his appointment to Tuesday. I was like, I can't let him sit here and choke to death and suffocate. And then, let me think what the other thing was. Oh, in his, she said, when she palpated his neck, which she said looked really big, that it's very sore. Like, he doesn't want her to touch it. And so he'll start itching, and in the middle of the night, he kind of, oh no, Stella's on the move. Now, and he would make this, like, not a yelp, not a cry, but a total discomfort sound. So I know he's getting more and more uncomfortable. He's coming and trying to snuggle by me at night, which I know he's uncomfortable, and he keeps making a lot of weird noises and stuff. So anyways, I feel like it's such a battle, over what to do. But I feel like it's more selfish of me to just be like, oh, just hang on, buddy, we'll figure something out, when he's already to this point. And the thing is, it's like I saw a girl yesterday, a young girl, 30 years old, and she had said she had been coughing up blood. And she was distraught at this point. She's crying on the internet. And she said that she went in, she got diagnosed, and they said that she has a stomach, CA. And she's like, I'm only 30 years old. And she's crying and stuff. And in the comments, everybody's like, try this, don't give up and stuff, because it's a big mindset thing. And so we're all like, try this, and don't give up, stay positive and stuff. And the thing is that she probably hasn't tried any of those things. Nothing of any of the natural things. And I have been doing them for a year. Well, for him since I got him. So I have been trying, and I look at it now as like when he came to me, he was already sick. And I don't know what his, history was, since he was a street dog. I don't know if he was kicked out by his family, if he ran off, if nobody cared about it. I have no idea. And what his nutrition was. And and this is what keeps orbiting around in my mind is my mom had friends who were two sisters, and they both had the big C. And one of them went all natural. She was doing all of the things that we all who went in that direction that we know of. So she was hitting them all, and she passed. And so, and her sister was doing what the doctor recommended, and she has not passed yet. And my mom was talking about one day, and I said, yeah, but when it's your time, it's your time. It doesn't matter what you're taking, what you're doing. When your window, when you've completed your task, your time is up. And it doesn't matter You know, you can be doing everything right, but when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. And so I still recommend, I said I would still recommend always doing the natural. It's less side effects and stuff like that. But you can't push out what your window of time is. You can't change that. And so, I think there's going to be a lot of reevaluation as things progress over that kind of my nose never stops running, over the you know what the allergies are like. It's so weird too. I never had allergies. I was never somebody who had allergies ever until they hit us hard. Like we're killing them no matter what. So I'm like in the most awkward, uncomfortable position. Like Archie is so like, oh, and I saw somebody on the internet who had just gotten a pug puppy, and they were talking about it, and in the comments, so all the people were like, oh, pugs are bred for being lap dogs. That's their whole life. Their whole duty is just to be on your lap. And I was like, no wonder he always wants to be on my lap. But and then bullies, I had no idea they were Velcro dogs. They just have to be attached to all the time. So it's a lot, man. It's a lot, especially if you've got sensory issues and energetic kind of like, oh, please. So anyways, that's that on that. But so anyways, on Max, because I was doing all those things, I feel like, you know, I feel like, yeah, he came to me. Is it, you know, same like as Morty. Morty was only there for a week too, but you know, he had love. Well, the one, don't forget this one too, was, and I talked about this when it happened. So this was like years ago. So weird now. I've been doing this for years. It's years now. So anyways, I heard all this commotion outside, and the cat next door was a big predator, and so the birds are all going crazy. So I'm thinking Bert. I was like, what was that cat's name? Bert. So I was thinking Bert is out there wreaking havoc. He's out there attacking birds. Something's going on. So I went outside and was trying to you know, holler at him, and the birds are going crazy, and he's up. The people across from me, well, the people across from me didn't have anything right there, but the people next to them had those tall, skinny pine tree things, you know, that people use as like a fence or a wall. And so they had a whole bunch of those. Well, the birds all like to nest in them, and they're real easy to climb. So, especially Bert could climb those freaking giant ass evergreen trees. He'd go way up in those trees and then just jump down. He was a badass, but he was like a definite predator. So, and he would bring home the neighbor all the time. He would bring her little gifts every morning. She'd have little dead things in her house. But so I was out there trying to run him off, telling Bert to get the hell out of there. And then I saw a little baby crow that was laying down there. So I grab it up and I take it in the house. You know, I'm going to rescue it. I'm going to save its life. And instead, I ended up having it die right there. And so I'm like, oh my God, why? Why do you do this to me? And the message that came back so strong was, even though it's an instant, a small period of time, it's going to make me cry. Hold on, I got to gather myself. Because love is so important to the soul. So they said, even though it's only a quick moment, that little jolt of love that I gave it was what it came for. And so it wasn't looking to have a whole life. It was, it got this jolt of love, and that's what it was. So some of the things, it's just all about the love. And so it was Morty, you know, he was only there for a week, but he got to experience love and compassion and caring. And the same with Max. And so I feel like, you know, he completed what he came to do. And the thing is when you just look at him, he just looks so sick. Even though he gets excited to eat, but I feel like, is it because he's like in starvation mode or something? But I did, starting back on the pace this morning. But he still, every single day, drinks the CHDX. So he's been under treatment for a long time. And, there's not been a miracle. He's only gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. And then when they're like, oh, well, he's only got weeks left once their head collapses like that. And it's like, and I don't want to put him through, a horrible death because I'm being selfish, because it's like, hold on, buddy, we'll figure this out. I just feel like, if his time's up and he's ready to be released, then I don't know. It's a battle. It's a battle when you face these things. I mean, we come into this life to face these things, to figure them out, to balance, how do I feel about it? And it's like, it's constant changing thing, because I was like, oh, I would never do that. I ended up having to do it with Winston. Once he started showing signs of pain, I was like, oh, no, I can't do this. I can't watch him suffer like this every day. And it's the same with him. I can't, he's a sweet, sweet little guy. And his big brown eyes. But every time, like, when he looks at me now, you just see this, like, I don't know. I would figure it's probably, he's got that much. It's probably gone up in his brain. Like, who knows, like, how much it's spread or whatever. And then all of their testing that they want to do. Which now, my aunt, she's getting more. It seems to be going all over. And then I was talking to my mom. My mom's just really distraught because it's her sister. And I was like, she just won't take care of herself. And it's just like, it's so important to take care of yourself, to prioritize your health, to not surrender, and just to make you your mission, taking care of yourself. And then when you have a family or whatever, the mission becomes bigger. Like, there's a lot to do. So anyways, I feel like, and I do want to take advantage of there being support here, because it is hard, because, you are doing things that felt like, oh, I would never do that. And then here you are doing, but then you're trying to, balance it into, what's worse, and I've seen people whose dogs are just barely able to, and there's this one, and it was the husband's dog, and I knew the wife, and he would not. The wife wanted to end this dog's misery. The husband would not. He would not do it. It was this big old bloodhound. I think it was a bloodhound, but it looked like, bloodhound off of Disney Channel, and it was really big, and it was super smelly. It was really sick. It had big tumors hanging off of it. It could barely walk. It was the saddest thing. And it's like, dude, this poor dog is just dragging around this half-dead body. And but he was determined. He would not. So it was like, that dog's gonna. And I do, I wish that it would be just like he would just go in his sleep. It'd make my life a lot easier. And but I just stayed, especially yesterday morning when he started choking. I was just like, oh. And then he keeps just making these weird sounds and being uncomfortable. So anyways, yeah, it's hard to do, but I will keep giving him the pace. If suddenly something seems like, oh wait, he's getting better, then I will, go in that direction. But since I've been doing that for 2 years, ever since I got him, because I've been treating him for, bugs ever since I got him. And, because that's when I looked it up. I'm like, why would a dog vomit after he eats? And then the most likely thing, it just seemed like anxiety or parasites, especially when you're a street dog. So anyways, I have been doing that stuff. So anyways, but speaking of, okay, like, let me see how I put it all together on this. Okay, because, I had just seen a girl. I think she's from the industry. She's so pretty. And she was very slight. You know, she was smaller, thinner girl. But her thing that she was talking about was these celebrities coming out now who are, look like they're having anorexia or something. Something's wrong with them. And I had said, I had commented something on the one where Demi Moore was walking out and was like, she couldn't even freaking walk, man. And they're getting sicker and sicker and sicker looking. And it's got to be, affecting them. And they just keep making excuses over Demi Moore. They're, making the substance was really hard on her. And she had to lose a lot of weight. And it was a big struggle over aging. Dude, she has been aging this, suddenly she's facing it? What are you talking about, man? And you think, she'd been facing it for a while. She says, really hung up on trying to look young, which apparently I think that she's been replaced, or I don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, she totally does look like Courtney Cox now. She looks like, it's so weird too. Which, real quick, a little sidebar on this thing, is Megan Fox now. She's come out with her new look. And the weirdest thing about her is that when she came on the scene, everybody was like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. She's so pretty. Everyone to look like Megan Fox. And then Angelina Jolie. And everybody's like, oh, I want to look like Angelina Jolie. She's so beautiful. And people were going in, trying to look like her. Well, the weird thing about Megan Fox is that, we're all looking at her like, oh my God, she's so pretty. And she's looking at herself in the mirror going, oh, I'm hideous. I guess because she just started hitting the appointments on the, knife and the slice and dice here real quick. As soon as she apparently had money, slice and dice, doc. And so she went in and got all this work done. And then she started looking like, it's hard to, make her not look pretty, but she's working on it, man. And so, but the fact is that how pretty she was naturally. And then it's like, what is the drive here? And which is internal, You can look like one way on the outside, but if on the inside you don't feel pretty, you feel hideous, then that's what you're going to see. And but now, so she's come back out. She's taken down her old videos. So she started Instagram and took down all her old videos, put up her new ones, a new photo shoot, which apparently she went to the Slice and Dicer and asked to make her, took in a picture of Kylie Jenner or something and said, make me look like her. I swear to God, I think the Kardashians were taking in pictures of her, Megan Fox, and saying, make us look like her. Because it was like, Megan Fox looked like this, then all of a sudden, here comes the Kardashians all starting to try and look like her. And it's like, so now we're going around and she's going and trying to look like them? What is happening here? What in the world is happening in this world? It's so odd. And so, I don't know, which I think kind of Demi Moore, she started growing her hair to look like Megan Fox too. It's like, Megan Fox, dude, like all these people want to look like you. And it's like, what in the world? This is so strange. So, fuck, I know, man. Stella is determined to knock something over. So, anyways, back on this this anorexia issue. So we got all these people coming out super, super skinny with their lips are bigger than the rest of their body. And, which is funny too, because a long time ago, this was in the Nancy Reagan era. And so she was very slight. She was a small, skinny chick. And she had a lot of hair. She had big hair. And so there became a thing because all these ladies started being really super skinny with this big hair. And it was called the Q-tip. So all these people started looking like a Q-tip. And so it kind of is like, we're going back to this kind of era, only it's not necessarily their hair, it's their lips, man. It's like these lips are crazy. So so we got all these women who are I mean, it seems like it started with Wicked when it really started being people talking about it, and they were all coming out being so skinny looking. And then the word going around was, well, Ariana has got issues and she can't gain weight and she's so skinny. So they made the rest of the cast go skinny so she wouldn't look so skinny. Okay, because it just makes everybody look skinny. But I guess on Ariana you can see every bone and stuff. I didn't go watch the movie, but she definitely looks super skinny. But that's not even the original Ariana, anyways. And so that's when it seemed like it started. Now Emma Thompson, she's gone to the ultra skinny, maybe doing the Begonia movie. Maybe that was just too much on her. She had to, really consider being an alien and not being an alien. I don't know what the hell. Get fucking counseling for these people, for God's sakes. Their part eats their fucking whole self up. So, yeah, it's weird. Do they do it how much Monarch shit is going on these sets, man? It's weird. It's people just get lost. And so anyways, whatever. Emma Thompson, she's also out there a whole bunch because they are I guess we're in award season or something. So we have awards going, they're just out there with their awards going to town. And every red carpet, and they're all out there walking them, and they're all frail looking, really, really skinny. And so people are commenting, and a lot of people think it's the OZ, but no matter what's going on, it's not good role modeling for young girls who are growing up, because not everybody is, they come in all shapes and sizes, and some people have to do very toxic behaviors in order to become ultra thin like that. They're not putting out a range of role models for these girls. They're just, look at here, everybody. And then, and mannequins look good in clothes. And so, anyways, as anybody knows, you can look at their outfit and go, ooh, that's so cute. And then you go put it on and it's like, oh, that's not cute at all. Mannequins make everything look good. So anyways, we got all of these really, really super thin women. Are they doing it to the men? No, it's always the same with the women. And then, a lot of people are realizing, oh, well, we got pedos running this whole fucking place. That's why they pushed on the whole thing about go hairless and have no boot. They want everybody to be prepubescent looking because it turns them on, man. So and women just follow suit, especially, I guess, these women in the industry. And I don't know if they do it out of insecurity, if they do it out of contracts, if they do it because they're lost in the program. I don't know, man. But we got all of these ladies coming out looking like this. And then it's all a range of what is going on. And then this whole thing about, don't talk about it. That's being rude about body positivity and stuff. So that's what the lady who I just saw the video was talking about, is because she had suffered from the anorexia and it affected her health and affected her body, and she's still having the after effects of it. And and how toxic it is to push this on young girls and stuff who are trying to develop into women. Then but this is what is strange, because this was on Spooky Scary Story, one of those, because there's a bunch of those, which I think there was a couple I was going to help. This one was a good one. So I don't remember if she just was somebody who told us that. Anyways, but she had a story. And then somebody said, well, here, let me tell you this story. So she was telling somebody else's story. And so the story was, there was a small town, and there was a musician there. And he made it. He went to Hollywood, and he was, in there to sign contracts and stuff. And he had, he's the guy from the small town who had become famous. And look, he did it. He made it. And then he turned around and came back. And so then everybody's just like, what happened? Maybe he couldn't handle it and all that. So everybody's just like, he seemed to not be able to handle it or something. So so this girl who's telling the story to the other girl, she was at a party with 2 other friends. So these 3 girls were at this party in this small town, and this guy happens to be there. So they're all in there at a big party, everybody's partying and stuff. So as the party dwindles down, there's only a few people left. Well, her friends and him and a couple more people. And he's pretty wasted. So they offer him a ride home, and he takes it. So they're driving in the car, and and the radio's on, and he says, "Will you please turn that off?" And so she says, "Sure." And she said her friends in the back seat were kind of drunk. He's in the front seat, and she's driving. And he says, "Will you turn that off?" And she says, "Sure." And she turns it off. And he says something about, I could have been on there. And she says something like, well, is it too much partying, too much lifestyle you couldn't handle? And he's like, no. And she said he kept staring off too. He said, no, that wasn't it. And he goes, I definitely couldn't handle it. But so I can't do all the conversation like she said, but I'll just basically tell you what he said. So what he told them, these girls, which they were having a hard time wrapping their mind around, but it wasn't 2026 when they told them. I think, because everybody in the comments was like, oh, I believe it. Because now we know so much more. But it's stuff that I've been saying for a long time. So, of course, I believe it. So he said something about, like, they're not all human. They're not what you think they are. And they're like, oh, okay. They're all thinking like he's just drunk and just rattling on, and he probably did too much drugs in Hollywood or something. But so he says that they're not all human, that they are, and they're old. They're real old. I've been saying that and saying it. And he said that they body swap. And he said one thing that they do is, so as this being begins to be aging, and then the rest of the community is aging, and it starts becoming obvious this person is not aging, that person will kind of disappear out of the scene, and they will bring in a replacement. So they'll bring in a replacement person so that person can age and die, and the other person can just be recycled back. And so they would go into hiding or something, and then they'll bring in the replacement, which is kind of weird how this is kind of like the whole Jim Carrey thing. So if he's blowing the whistle, maybe it's kind of on this kind of scheme. So they will bring in these people, he said, when they come in with these botched faces, he said that's when they're being replaced. And so they bring in the replacement, and then the other one, the old one, goes out into the great unknown and hides out until it's time to bring them back in, because once they're part of the system or the cycle, then it's much easier just to keep using them over and over and over and over than to, retrain them or get new ones or whatever. So and that, I think the girls were like, well, why would they do that? And he said because they, it's an idol worship kind of thing, and their energy feeds off of being worshipped and idolized, and that so that's what they are doing it to, kind of like how, there used to be were gods and all these entities that they would worship and stuff. So then they can go and be a celebrity and be worshipped and be fed in the same way, because we're not sitting here worshiping the gods anymore, but we're idolizing still. So they are idols, and they are recycled, so they're real ancient. They're not, no normal like what we think, because they just can live forever. And he said to those girls too, before he got out of the car, he said, if you ever come across one, do not let them know that you worship them in any way, because you're feeding them. And and I was thinking, well, that is so weird, because look at these ones now who are so skinny. Because when 2020 occurred, then there was a whole thing about well, they can't access the Chrome. That's what's going on. They're all looking really haggard, and so they are all withering away, kind of like I don't know, in the vampire movies when the sun comes in and all of a sudden they become the real age. So there was ones that were looking really old, man, real quick, and then the word on the street was, well, they can't access the Chrome. So then if you think of it in that kind of thing, but then if you think of it, if they feed off of our energy, over the past few years, there has been such a decrease in idol worship. People have gone against the celebrity lifestyle, the celebrities and stuff. Like, they don't get the same energy as they used to. Where there's a lot of people who have pulled back on that energy and start going another direction, speaks out on their toxic behavior, speaks like it's a different momentum, a different tone than it used to be. And so then I was thinking, well, I wonder if that could be that some of them are starving because they don't have us feeding into worship. And so they are starving because the energy isn't there to feed them. So I don't know, but it's weird. But I definitely believe that, yeah, there's people out there who are ancient beings, and some of them live off of energy, but some of them live off of, blood and stuff like that. So we got the vamps, we got all sorts of things going on out there, man. And then there's been, these certain celebrities too, who said that they lived off, because Sandra Bullock was right on the Ellen show and said, because Ellen was like, how do you look so good? And then Sandra's like, well, it's kind of embarrassing, but I use a cream on my face that has got foreskin, little Korean baby foreskin. And that is really good for your skin. Can you imagine if we all were like, oh, give me a little of that? I mean, how many foreskins are there to freaking go around, dude? And so now there's more coming out about that whole thing. And so, yeah, it's just disgusting. And, but, her and Nicole are about to do practical magic too. And Nicole, she's another one of those ones that looks like, I don't know, just doesn't look human. And so it's not just that they are just getting plastic surgery. They're definitely swapping them out. And then they have one, but I don't think, Nicole seems to still be going hard on she's going to ride it out. She's going to be one of those ones that are, because she wants people to be like, oh, you look so good, man. You look so good. Oh, I just love you. I love all your movies. Oh, yeah. And so she seems to really enjoy that. So I would say she has not been swapped out at this point. And I think her ego is so, I don't know if she's going to be somebody who's just going to, who knows? Like, we're all going to die before she dies. And she's going to still be looking good. But I don't know, because things are in a switch. So it's not going to keep going in that way. But maybe that was her plan. So I don't know. Because a lot of these people, they just aren't the same as us. They aren't human. And the thing is because we're going to go into this period of time where we also live forever. But we're not going to be doing it in these really weird, toxic ways. And that is like the human experience. So they aren't living like the same type of human experience as we are. We are going through these cycles of learning and growing. And I saw somebody talking about the other day is like, yeah, these people can't, they are stuck in the dark. And I've been saying that and saying that and saying that. They can't go outside of the dark. They aren't evolving. They aren't becoming more connected to themselves and connected to, the light. We are. And because we go through these cycles of doing that. And that's why they try and feed off of us, because they can't do it. They can't ascend. And so it's like they try and use us, use our energy, take our energy, use our parts, all this different stuff. Try and use our minds, try and use our connection, and it's for their advancement. But they can't advance. And but we are, and we can, and that is what you would kind of consider the human experience, because we are going through these cycles and we are advancing, and then we will pull free, and then we will also be living, but it will be as advanced beings. So ultimately we would be the gods over them, because they're still down here. Even though they are the gods of their realm, they are the masters of their realm, but they can't go out of their realm. They can't, extend their power past where, that's the whole concept kind of the firmament and stuff, is the containment. Because their power is contained. They don't have a far reach. We have more. We are more advanced than them, but we haven't realized it because we don't believe in ourselves. Just like, Megan Fox. She can look so beautiful to everybody else, but to herself, she looks in the mirror and she's like, oh God, I'm hideous. I guess. Slice and dice me, doc. Make me pretty. It's like, what in the malpractice is going on here? You have somebody come in that looks like that. Why wouldn't you just be, well, you already are pretty. I don't know what I can do. Like, I can't fix it. I can't make it better. I don't know, I don't know what the hell is going on in this world with this whole thing. Like, there is now where there's going to be charges brought against the docs that recommended, the ones that said, yeah, do it, that they are going down because the information was out there that there was problems, and they continued to push people and tell them that they should do it. And so now it's circling back. It's coming back on them. So, yeah. I said years ago, you're going to see people who you think of as being super successful. You're going to see them completely go down. You're going to see a whole different side. It's going to be the flip side. So they can seem like they're up here, but their energy and what they're doing to be there isn't of the natural, isn't a positive. It is a negative. And so, but this is where you get to challenge yourself. This is where you get to, see, who you are at your core. What is it that you follow? And so both things are there, but always the light is a little quieter. The dark is a little louder. And a lot of people have followed the dark. Their ego, their greed, they're driven by that, the ego. That's why when you start to go towards the light, then that is why you have to, pull yourself over. You got to steer into balance. You got to find your center, because you're veering way over to the dark. And so you got to pull yourself back. And but there's tons of people who, they came in for that to be their experience, which you got to think that all the people, their experiences all center around their development as a soul, so all their lives put together. So whatever they're here to learn from those things, that's what they're here to learn from. You can't make a mistake in this shit, man. You just can't make a mistake. You're here to go full circle. You're here to learn all the things you're supposed to learn. So it's not, you can't do it wrong, because it's your internal. It's best to kind of begin to communicate with your internal guidance, but your internal guidance is in there. And so there's a certain aspect of it, is like the homing thing. What is that? Like it's a homing device. Like it's I've talked about this before, but I'm going to say it in maybe a different way. I'm not sure. But it is because when you come into this experience and you go for each experience, that you are, it is like you're going on a ride. And so if you think about going to the fair or whatever, what are those places called? Like Disneyland or something. Like we had Six Flags and Knott's Berry Farm, like all those places. And then you go in and you get on the roller coaster. And so and then it has different cars. So it has the front cars, the middle cars, and there's a few in the middle, and then there's the back. And some people get really specific over, I want to be on the front because it's a different ride than it is to be in the back. Some people want to be in the back because it's a different ride to be in the back. Some people want to, people have places that they want to be when they're really into that kind of thing. So your ride is its own unique thing, depending on where you're at. Well, that is like the same is when we come in, our ride is set. The ride is set, and there's like a template of experience. So you go into what the template of experience is based on what your circumference of learning, what it is you're learning about. That there is something that is more adaptable or more precise into what it is your focus is. And so you go into that kind of like template of experience. So that is like your homing thing. It's set. Like you can't go off. Like if you're supposed to encounter this person today at noon, you can't go off and do something different. You will be there that day at noon. So you have a specific route that is I've referred to as your flight plan. You come in with a flight plan. Where you're supposed to be, you will be. You cannot go off from it. But to the being, it doesn't seem like, it just seems like you're just going. It doesn't seem like, oh, I've got a date and time. I got to be there at this time. I got to be here. I got to be there. That would be too much for you to have to comprehend all the time. So it's just set into your program. So you're just like programmed to go through your experience and be at certain places at certain times. So you have these interactions, these what do they call them in astrology, textiles or transits. So you're always meeting up where you're supposed to be. You are in an orbit, say, of experience, and you will go into being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. The illusion is that you have control over that. That's why yesterday, and I've said it several times, that the whole thing is about coming into being able to be comfortable with letting things play out the way they're supposed to play out, and stop trying to control them, because you can't control them. You can't change them. You can't change what's going to happen. It is already set. So it's an illusion. It is like your ego trying to get you to focus on something that you don't have control over. So that's a kind of one of the battles to overcome in existence for you as a being. And so you will feel like, well, I could do this and change it, or I made a mistake. I should have done this. I should have turned left when I turned right. I should have went up when I went down. It is like, no, it's already set. So your orbit, your flight plan, your journey is a set parameter as you enter into the experience. All these people talk about jumping timelines. But the thing is that you are always going to do what you're going to do. So you're not really jumping into a different timeline. You are just going in a direction that you were always going to go. And so as we go forward, I think that there is going to be more of, because we're like leaving this plane of existence and we're going more into the plane of existence of freedom. So it won't so much be about, being in this encounter and that encounter at a specific time slot. You will just be going and doing your own thing. Everybody's going to be going and doing their own thing. So it's another elevation, but it's like you have to reach that elevation in order to go into the experience. In this encounter of going from being alive as a character and then going into this next level, because when you go into the death realm where we think we're dead, man, we're just in heaven, that is what heaven is like, is an open range, and that's why when you're in the open range, you are not in the learning so much classification of the experience. That is when you descend down into the heavier, darker realms, because that is where learning through experience occurs. It's not the same up in the, when everything's good. And so we are going into a time where I think that is why there's so much focus on quantum and quantum jumping and stuff like that, and time travel and stuff, because then once we move into this higher vibration where it's not just about learning and figuring yourself out, then we will be more like how it is in the heavens. And I don't think it's going to be, the top level, but we're definitely going into a space where we will be able to travel and stuff. It's not going to be so controlled. So it's going to be a lot more free range of experiencing in life, which, the soul, that's why when people have their NDEs and stuff and they leave and they go, then it's like, it's like going home, because we have this homing device in us. It's like this is what we desire. We desire freedom. We desire to be able to live our experience the way we want. But in this experience, you come into a very more controlled environment. And so it is, let me see if I go back to, then when you go into the experience of going into meeting your transit, like you're on your ride, you're on your flight plan, and people don't get that, and they think that they have control over, what's going to happen tonight, what's going to happen tomorrow, if I do this, what happens then, it's like, the thing is to start going internal, start trying to look at yourself, like I'm on this flight plan and I do this, well, I want to do that, well, how do I start to be able to do this and feel this way instead of being caught up in my emotions? And so a big part of the lessons is this maneuvering between the dark and the light. And we're going to witness a lot of people who have been consumed by the dark. That doesn't necessarily mean they're stuck in the dark. They will still get opportunities to continue their journey through the dark and find their way home. And then some will learn, and because everything is about, the light, the soul of the light, what we are, wanting to go home, like homing pigeons, we want to get home, we want to get back to where everything is nice, and because this place is very uncomfortable. But some people soothe themselves and do things and they follow their ego too much, but that is always what they're going to do. It's what they came in to learn, it's what they came in to experience, because then when they go and they look at their whole experience as a being, their whole structure, then it all goes together. And so they are seeing different sides, different aspects of things, and a lot of things is like how you become who you become. That's why it's all about figuring out who you are, witnessing yourself. And so there's a big part of that. Like, I was consumed by this energy. I was taken by this. I followed this. And that is what we are witnessing at this time. What it is when people follow and they don't even, it's irrational, man. They don't even see the full picture and they just get so focused on their hate. It's so weird because so many of these people who are just spewing hate don't realize like all that hate is coming from inside of you. You think it's because of him or her or this or that, but no, it's because it's in you and it's trying to come to the surface. So you look at it, but you keep blaming it this person. It's Donald. It's him. I that's the only reason I have hate in me. It's like, dude, there's another one of these nurses who just lost their job. And it is crazy. And this person who was doing the video about it said, another one of these people who chose being popular on the internet than to having ethics. So she was saying, she was a part of surgery. I don't know if I thought she was a nurse, but I don't know if she could have been an anesthesiologist, but she thought it was funny to go in and say people who, VOTE for certain MAGA people, then, they're getting paralyzed, they don't need to be here anymore. It's like, man, when your political views override your whole system in regards to hate, you're going to hate this person because they look at life different than you. That is a you problem. It's not their problem. It's you. And so, yeah, she immediately lost her job. It was like, I think it was almost like the same day. So, and it's not funny and it's not cute to sit there and say, especially people who are coming to medical facilities and stuff are trusting you. And when you are so kooky that you are more concerned about what happens in November than you are over someone's health, then you're in the wrong job, dude. Go fucking work in Washington. Go work in DC. Get the hell out of the fucking hospital, man. So anyways, but that's what we are witnessing at this point in time is the real, and that's what Donald is all about. He's a catalyst, is because it brings up this anger, this bitterness and stuff, but that's where you got to be looking at yourself. You got to be trying to understand yourself. Everything is about you understanding yourself. No matter what it is, the target was always meant to be there so that your things would come up and out of you and surface so that you would be able to witness yourself and see like, man, I am really carrying a lot of hate. I become hateful, man. I get really angry and I get really bitter. I want to go to extreme violence when I hear certain things. It's like, that's where you need to look at yourself. Like, what? So that's what we are observing right now in our society is a lot of people who are caught up in stereotypical biased behavior. And so wherever their whole learning curve is, that is where a lot of them, they may not see it until they go to their life review. But a lot of them, it's a part of their whole thing is just to go in and learn more stuff. So anyways, but we're going to see people who you think made it, they were made it to the top, but they were driven by their ego. Well, this is the period of time, if you're not questioning yourself and trying to figure yourself out, that the ego is not going to be able to drive anymore. So, but that's this whole thing where people, get caught up in the ego death and stuff like that. It's not a death, it's a balance. It's like you can't get rid of your ego. Your ego is a part of your soul. It's a part of your contraption. It's a part of your energy. It's like it's like you can't just be all good because, if you came in here and you were all good, you would be stomped, you'd be crushed. So you got to have some kind of, the ego's there to help you maneuver. And so it's a part of you. It's like the two sides of you. So you need both sides. You can't just be one thing. And so you can't just get rid of your ego. But the thing is in the dark, then the ego, a lot of people have let their ego take over. And the ego is, is a drunk driver. When you just give him the keys, it's like you can't just let him take over the ride. You got to, be there to at least be the backseat driver. At least sit there and talk and, talk to yourself, have an internal dialogue. And it has so much to do with questioning yourself. Like, why am I doing this? What am I doing? What am I trying to accomplish? How am I supposed to be doing this? Why am I doing this? Why do I think this? Why do I think that? And when you start questioning yourself, then you will be able to begin to understand yourself, and you should be able to reach a communication. You should be able to reach, the beings that sit there and tell you, well, yeah, it's about love. Well, it's about this. Well, look at this. They'll help you. They walk you through it. Yesterday, I saw a video, and it was this guy. He's from the military training thing or whatever, and then he became a teacher. So in his 6th grade class, he was having them all do a meditation. So everybody would meditate, and then it was to have communication with the alien. And so he said that they would have all these different experiences. And he was talking about one of the girls. She said that then they started showing her all this stuff about this battle and stuff. And he was saying that would happen a lot. They would start showing him things, and I don't know if it was trying to scare him off or what was going on, why they would start doing that. I think a lot of the beings that are higher vibration want you to understand the violence that is here. Wait a second, how do you say that word? St. Elmo's Fire, yes, that was the movie. St. Elmo's Fire, the movie I've been trying to think of the name of, with Demi Moore, where she did, the topless thing where it was like she was flat-chested. And, she didn't have big, not like now. Now she's skinny as can be, and she's got these. It doesn't matter what she says. Like, our eyes, like, use your sense. So, perpetuating violence on a lot of the human experience has been about perpetuating violence, and that's why I say we don't want to. When people are saying we got to have a revolution, go in and fight them. They want to get us to stay in a fight with them. They want to get us to stay in a revolution with them. That's why we need to drop our weapons and go in another direction, because that is it is what they feed off of us. So we when we aren't there to feed off of, what do they have to do? So they're going to try and keep us in the battle because they can feed off of it energetically. And so that's why, you don't want to just go into a revolution. Although during all of this liberation, there has been revolution in a lot of places, but it also has to do with the area. I'm talking about here in America. And there's a lot of different places, a lot of different energies, a lot of different situations that have played out. And they've allowed these beings to take them over. And at the point where they say, no, you're not going to rule us anymore, then those beings have slaughtered. So it has been a revolution of saying no more. But that is still more important to say no more, even if there's a occurrence where you are outside of your body at that point, because you are just going to another place. You did your part. You did what you came to do. You stood up for yourself. And so, but the people here are so accustomed to violent. And I think that is a big part of this big show that's going on about WW3, is to really get us to question violence and to get us to go away from this perpetuation of war and battle and I'll take you over. And that's what we don't want to do with them. We're not here to try and take over their world. We're here to create a new one. And so a lot of the people, and you got to remember too, I mean, we're incarnated at this period of time with a lot of like Roman soldiers, where we got a lot of people who have been through some battles with these people, and they are like, come on, let's fight them again. It's like, no, you guys, we got to get out of the fight. If you're here to fight them, then you fight them, because not all of us are here to fight them. Some of us are here to, we're gonna mosey over here now and live our free life. And you want to stay fighting them, then that's up to you. But we do have a lot of people we're incarnated with at this time who have been, soldiers and battled with them. So and they want to trigger that, keep you in the battle. But that's, keeping you in alignment with their practice, their world. And so I think when the other beings are saying, hey, look at this, it's to turn you off of it, to be like, oh God, war is stupid, war is horrible, why would we want to fight like this? And and then they convince people that you've got no life without us. It's like, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Well, I'll live in a tent on the beach. That's what I'll do. So I've said that for a long time. Then where am I? I'm living in a little shop on the beach of the river. So anyways, but it's, everybody's got to do what feels right to them. It's your soul. It's your existence. It's what you are here to understand about yourself. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? When am I doing this? What am I trying to accomplish? So so this teacher who's having them go in and have these communications and practice the communication stuff, then I said on there, I've been in communication with these other beings since I was 3 years old, and I didn't have to practice or anything. It just, they started talking to me when I was little, and I've always been able to hear them. And I can, it's like once the phone's been picked up, you recognize the call. So it started for me at such a young age that it's just like I recognize the voice. So, and when I said that, then some other people were like, "Oh, me too, me too." And I was like, I knew I wasn't the only one. But somebody said, "Well, what's the stuff they tell you?" And when I was younger, they definitely told me, we were an experiment, and we were being watched all the time, and that the Bible wasn't real, that was, those stories weren't our truth, and there was more stuff as it would go, but those things really stuck out to me throughout my time. And but the thing is they're not just telling you that stuff all the time. They're just there to assist you, like to help you on your journey. And so when you're trying to understand, like, well, why did I run out to save this little bird and then it died a couple seconds later? Like, why did I have to go through that? And then it's like, because you were giving love, and that little bolt of love, that little jolt of love was all that bird needed. And so you gave it exactly what it needed. And so rest in peace, it's ourselves, like, rest in peace. You did your part. You did what you could do. So anyways, but that's kind of like what, I'm kind of going through that right now with, Matt. And then every little fucking thing that the dogs keep doing, it's like, man, are they all going to fucking die now? Are they all sick? It's like, man, somebody's poop out there is funk. I can't figure out whose it is. I gotta go out and watch him walk around the whole time. And it's been so cold and windy here. It's like as soon as I walk out, it's like, oh, hell no, gotta go back in. It's so cold and windy. This weekend's supposed to be nice. So I'm gonna go with them and walk down, get all dirty down at the river. And, try and give Max some fun to do over the next few days. Some fun experiences. But, yeah. And he keeps doing stuff too. So they all just keep being like, man, I don't know, are they all going to keel over now? It's like, what is this world? It's just like, what you come to experience is intense, man. Okay, this is not comfortable for me either. I don't know why you think you have to be right there, mister. And when I look at him, I'm always like, he looks so much like Peter Lorre. Look at him. Some people would say, some people would be like, what is the guy's name with the eyes that stick out in Young Frankenstein? It's not Andy Kaufman. I can't think of his name. But I'm older, so I think about Peter Lorre. And it's like, that's Peter Lorre. So, anyways, let's see. Anyways, so that's what I got to say about it. That's what I got to say is, the beings, they're not just there just to tell you of all the crazy stuff in the world and what the world is, but it's like you ask questions and you'll just see. Like, I mean, there's a reason why I see the things the way I see them. And the only one, like, I hear people saying stuff, and it's never like what I say, but when I hear the Chat GPT, when people start going in and asking Chat GPT, it's always like, see? Because that's what I'm saying. And so somehow the stuff I say is in alignment with Chat GPT, but there's a lot of people out there who try and push, like, they're talking to the archangels. A lot of them talking to Jim Carrey now. So you're talking to Jim Carrey, they're talking to the archangels, they're talking to whatever, all these different, it's like it gives them more cred or something. So they think that they know all the stuff, but some of the stuff they're saying is not right. And I'm always like, I think that your ego is holding you out of balance to be able to talk to the higher vibration beings. Because the higher vibration beings aren't all glitz and glam. They are, and especially when you want to go and try and profit off of it or something. Like, I think it's something with the people's energy. There's some that drive in them that is peculiar. And so they don't have total accuracy. Well, I mean, like, I'm going like, I have accuracy. Like, I don't know. You got to believe what you believe. You can listen to what I say and think it sounds crazy, and that's up to you. You can listen to what I say and think like, hey, this sounds familiar. This sounds right. I think this makes sense. It's totally up to you. I mean, I know I'm at peace. And that's what I would try and say, to people who were religious there for a while. Like, I know I've had this conversation with my mom, with different people. It's like, they're all like yearning and searching for something. A lot of people are yearning and searching for God's acceptance. And so, but to me, I found peace. I found peace in my understanding of what we're doing here, why we're here, and, what does it all mean? I found peace in that a long time ago. And so I don't have that same kind of fear or, I got to please this God in order to get out of here or something like that. I look at it different. And so, really what it comes down to is you got to find peace, man. You got to find your own peace of mind. You got to find what makes sense to you. And a big thing about what makes sense to you is that it grows. So what makes sense to you at one day, the next day, there could be more things where you're like, oh, well, this makes sense now. You are growing, you're developing. So wherever you are, be real with, be where you are. Enjoy where you are. Believe what you believe. Stand for what you stand for. Don't try and be like anybody else. Don't be like Megan Fox. Like, realize your own value. And accept yourself, because that's what it's all about, I'm telling you, is learning how to love yourself, learn how to love everybody else. Like, don't be somebody who's like, well, just get them while they're not looking. Isn't that funny? It's like, no, it's creepy. You sound like a psychopath. So, you'll love everybody, man. You'll love everybody, no matter what you think about them. And there's a lot of Tootie Booties, little Miss, I swear to God, I think she started her period too, because she keeps like cleaning up the spot after she gets up, and she does this kind of stinky. So anyways, I think she's going into heat, and so I think it's after the second heat is supposed to be a better time to get them fixed, because they're more matured like this big push on us, get them fixed while they're little, it's easier. It's like, yeah, but then they didn't develop their muscles, their horn, like they had a lot of issues. There's tons of dogs that have a lot of issues because of, doing that when they're really little before all their hormone, all their system. So they need that. They need certain things to develop. So anyways, so that's how I see it. But anyways, there is, a lot of people who we would look at as like mean and hateful and angry and bitter and monsters. There's another guy now, the torturing animals, man. The guy who did the whole thing with the wolf, he got no time. He got $1,000, and I think he has to check in. I don't know. He got really low, like not a big sentence for what he did, because what he did is inhumane. And there's so many of these people, like those boys, who did that dog. There's so many of these people who just like, what in the world? How can you hurt something and not feel the pain inside of you? Like, some are here to, I guess, learn about it. I don't know. There was another one in Vegas, apparently, now that just happened. A 33-year-old man, too. And he went and I guess one of the flamingo keeps live flamingos out front. And so he stole one, took it in, and torture did. And then they found bloody feathers everywhere and stuff like that. It's on the mend. They're hoping for a full recovery. But whatever he did was horrific. And there's, I don't know if it was like this, who knows what the hell. I don't understand hurting things and torturing things and being cruel just to be cruel. It's like, what is broken inside of you, That's where, it's best to not lash out. And there's another creepy thing, too, going on, where, so this is creepy. Some man, so his wife died. This is, I think, over, like, by Virginia or New Hampshire or something, Connecticut. So his wife died. Then he, which now it's kind of like, did she die? Was it natural? And so I think there's going to be more investigation on this guy. So then in a couple months later, he's all of a sudden with this other lady who has a family. And so they had like a little farm place or something in Virginia or something. And so then he moved in a couple months after they met. So he just moves in with her, puts all these cameras. Like when you see their house, there is like 100 cameras on the outside of the house, looking all over the place. Then the whole thing has become like a dump site. So he turned their house into like this major dump out front. But there's tons and tons of crates, the Rubbermaid crates and stuff, that we use to put our stuff in when we don't want it to get. So there's tons of them, and they kept showing up. Well, there's more going on or something, and there's a big, huge police presence the other day, and tons, and they've been taking the crates. And so I don't know what's going to happen. Somebody was like, well, maybe they're making, and the girl who was doing the video was like, but there's no DEA. There's nothing like that. They've got tents out there. Definitely looks more crime scene. It's like, oh my God, what is going on in this place? And then when you see the picture of the guy, it looks scary. So, yeah, I don't know. But we got lots of crazy stories going on out there, that's for sure. And so, we just got to keep going because, yeah, it's all these different souls at all different levels, and you got to bring yourself up. But we're going to see, there's going to be a big flipping of energies. We're going to see people who were, at the top are going to be going down. And I think it's going to be in the legal and definitely the medical. Like, I said this a long time ago. So anyways, but yeah, now they're going to start arresting guy. There's going to be charges made on ones that, and it's a lot of them. So anyways, we'll see how this all plays out. We'll see what happens today in this big major endeavor of experience. So But throughout, just remember, and when you do talk to your God, don't be expecting some big, a lot of it is very just gentle little, like, well, it's all about the love, baby. So you learn how to love yourself. It's major. It's major, man. It's like, geez. So you gotta learn how to love yourself, and that's gonna mean letting go of things. Accepting yourself, valuing yourself. That's boundaries. So learn to love yourself. Learn to love everybody, because you gotta accept them all. No matter where they go, that's on them. But those of us who want to go further up, yeah, you got to accept them for where they're at and move on with your life. And and learning how to maneuver through all this drama, that's a big part of it. That's why it's all occurring. So wherever you are in this journey, there's plenty for you to do. So focus on you. Focus on what you need to do. Focus on loving everybody. Focus on loving them. Focus where your focus needs to be. And it shouldn't be just on, trying to control, the president or the evil in order to have the life you want. Because we're breaking free. It's a jailbreak, man. So anyways, we're breaking free from this place and we're moving on. So we'll see what they try and do to hold us back today. But until tomorrow, just take care of yourself and work on you. And we will talk about what they did today. We'll talk about it tomorrow. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.